Welcome back, everybody. I'm Austin Reed. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Austin Reed On Air. Devin Nunes is leaving Congress. He actually really officially left. He's working for President Trump's media team. And we are joined now, once again, by Lourin Hubbard, who has moved on to the general election.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Which is June 7th. You came on here just 2-3 weeks ago, right before, when was it? Was April?
Was it the week before?
Yeah,
the election,
right? And you came in second.
And it's all credit due to my appearance here at Central Valley Talk.
Well, thank you. I'll take the credit. I know Mike Briggs will. But wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Political newcomer, and you kicked butt.
Yeah, I think that we weren't surprised when it happened. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the folks that work at our campaign and volunteer for our campaign, we've been on the ground, knocking on doors, talking to folks, making calls, doing all the things that you're supposed to do to reach voters, and not only tell them about my policies, but really to just lend an ear about what they think is important. And we were able to do that, and translate it to making it to this runoff.
Tell me, would you say that your campaign is really a grassroots effort compared to, say, somebody like Conway, who you are now running against for June 7th?
Absolutely. One of the things I kind of joked with one of the reporters from the LA Times about, the fundraising in our race. We raised the least amount of money. Because we are a people-centered campaign, and I advocate for policies that are put working-class people first. I myself could not. I found it really hard to ask those same working-class people who are hurting for their money, and so we try to be as frugal with our spending as possible. And it's really kind of, word of mouth. We have a lot of people that volunteer for our campaign. And that's, the basis of a people-centered campaign. They may have all the money. They may have the money, but we have people power. And I think when we look at history, people power usually trumps money. No pun intended.
Well, I have to ask you, you see so much money from other candidates. And I look at that and I'm like, are you kidding me? This money could go towards helping the homeless. It could go, why does campaigns need, why do they need millions of dollars?
Well, as a political newcomer, that was the same question that I had. And getting into this and learning a little bit more information, you figure out that, campaign dollars, when they're spent well, are supposed to be outreach. But a lot of it is, spent on self-indulgence, staff, and I have to do travel, and I can't travel by coach. I gotta get this, that, and the other.
To me, that's absolute corruption.
Oh yeah, and then there's the other side of it, which is the bigger picture. You're taking a lot of money from places and corporations that, when it comes time for you to have what I call political courage, ding, 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 the phone rings. Hey, I know you have this bill on the floor to cap insulin costs. Yeah, we're going to need you to kill that, and you're beholden to them because they gave you all this campaign money. So it was important for us to kind of not cater to a certain donor class. And really just be people-centered.
Would you say, now when I was myself and Mike Briggs, of course the owner of Central Valley Talk, we were texting back and forth on the night of Election Day, and we were just so excited to see that you beat some really big names.
Yeah. That's right.
So now, when Tuesday night came late in the evening, all the stations are now wanting to talk to you. What was the feeling?
Oh, man, it's really hard to explain because that night, I don't think I actually like slept at all. I was like, I got up like every hour just to
Yeah.
check the phone. Oh, no more results here. So I was almost like a kid at Christmas.
Oh, I
It's
bet.
like Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
and you're gonna wake up Christmas morning, but every hour, oh, the sun's not up yet.
Right.
So that feeling was like something, a little bit of validation. I think humbling and validation to the work that we have been doing, and just a reminder that waking up the next day, the work's not done. That we still got a whole lot more work to do because there's people in our community that are hurting. I saw today some information about cost of living adjustments. It's that time of year where people that are retired or on Social Security get their cost of living adjustments for the year, and 2% when we're dealing with inflation that's closer to 8%. Imagine the difference something small like making cost of living tied to inflation, to where people's purchasing power remains despite what the economy goes through. So those are the things that that really kind of keep me up at night and keep me going in this campaign.
The other thing, when I watched those election results, and then of course the next day when it was finalized, the thought that I went immediately into my head was the voters want change. And you're a Democrat. You're running against Conway, a Republican, and but for a Democrat to come in second in a very conservative area as Fresno,
Yes.
That was my first thought. Like, whoa, change. People want change.
And not only like just generic Democrat, but the like type of progressive Democrat that I am, and espousing beliefs of health care for all, and the things that are seen as progressive, not just generic Democrat who's we've seen before that just, hey, vote for me because I'm not this person. We've tried to be a campaign that's focused on issues and not only giving something for somebody to vote against, but these are all the things that we want you to vote for. This is what I embody. Do yourself a favor and vote for the change that you want to see. And we have been successful so far, and I hope that carries us through the finish line come June.
Okay, looking at Conway, how are you different? What 3 ways that you're different than your opponent?
When it comes to Connie specifically, and some of her things that she's talked about, when it comes to issues, if you look at her website, she lists who she is, her endorsements, and how to donate. There is no kind of issues platform on her website at all. And in her public comments, she said, I'm really kind of just a caretaker. I want to continue the legacy of Devin Nunes. And I have a bunch of differences between myself and our former Congressman Devin Nunes, and just to highlight a couple, one being, the big one being the wall, the border wall, and the belief that, we need to have a wall, and if we just have this wall, that all illegal immigration is going to cease, is just, to me, kind of ridiculous. We do need to have a functioning immigration system here, especially here in California, where folks, if you want to be a citizen of the United States, great, we should have a way for you to do that. But we should also have a way for people to come into the country, do the work that we need them to do, and then go back if they want to. And that's the way that, historically, California has been. A lot of people forget, the conservative hero Ronald Reagan advocated for systems like that. He was the president that granted amnesty to folks back in the 80s.
That's right.
So
Would you
there's
say
a lot of things that are different.
That Conway is similar to a Trumpster Republican?
She's a Trump appointee. I've had the opportunity to meet Connie a few times. She kind of seems like an old school classic conservative who embraces Trump, maybe the pragmatism of a Trump presidency, not necessarily the loudmouth antics of the president, the former president. she's definitely a supporter. She definitely says, like, hey, we got to clear the room to make way for Trump in 2024. Make sure that Kevin McCarthy is the Speaker of the House. She's definitely toes that party line. But I would be hesitant to put her on the same, the same wavelength as a Lauren Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right.
She's got a little more sanity than that.
Okay. Yeah, it's just so weird. The politics in the last really 8 years have totally changed.
It has, and I think of all the folks back home in Bakersfield that I grew up with, and a lot of my friends that are here that are classic conservatives. And I think what we've seen is this de-evolution of the Republican Party. I point out Kevin McCarthy in particular because he was my neighbor growing up in Bakersfield, and highlight just Kevin McCarthy and the things that he says now. I don't think he's changed as a person, but I think we're to blame as the electorate. It has shifted so much from classic conservatism to unrecognizable. And in order to get reelected, which is his job, he's had to move with the electorate. So it's kind of a strange situation. And
let's talk about the Biden administration real quick. Are you happy with the administration this far, or do you see things that maybe can be different?
Well, there's definitely things that can be different. I would love for the president who was elected on the promise of doing something about student loans. That was a promise that he made to folks. And, we can have the conversation between, forgiving $50,000 in debt or $10,000 or whatever. We can have that conversation, but that should be, you should be held accountable to that. I think he's done a really good job on the economy. We've created several million jobs since taking office. Inflation is one of those things that's difficult.
Well,
I don't know that there's a policy solution.
Okay, because some people are. I mean, we're seeing just as of late stickers on at gas stations. Biden did this.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and the inflation is this all to because a lot of conservatives would say Biden's doing this. What do you say to them?
Well, it's the same thing that when gas prices were high during Trump, it was like, well, the president doesn't set gas prices. That doesn't, it's the same thing, same situation. And I think what we've seen over the course of the past couple of years is the supply and demand of inelastic goods like gas is not on the same level as other goods. People got to drive to work. You got to drive your kids to school. You don't get a choice in that, really. So when it comes to gas prices and this constant call for drilling more oil and drilling for more gas, doesn't help us in the short term. Unless we have a situation where the state of California created its own gas company and was drilling for oil, and that oil stayed with us, all the oil that we produce gets sold at the world market price. Doesn't help us. I would love for us to talk about, really in the example of gas companies, ExxonMobil making billions of dollars in profit, the price of oil decreasing over the past couple of weeks, but gas prices have not come down. Why is that? Just a simple question. Why is that? If the gas prices are tied to supply and demand that we think, why is that not the case? And I think when we look at a lot of places like oil companies or some of these other tech companies, that price gouging is actually occurring. How much of effect that has on the prices that we pay now, hard to determine. But I think this is a decades-old problem, where we decided decades ago that it was cheaper for us to import this piece from over there and that piece from over there, and we'll just put it together in America. And now we see all these supply chain issues that are really left over from the pandemic, where things aren't coming from China like they used to, or other places like they used to, and now we're seeing the effects of that. And so it's just one big culmination of things that are affecting us. But I think the president is doing his due diligence in trying to create policies and trying to enact things that he can at the executive level. And I think a lot of people forget that even though Democrats are in power, quote unquote, controlling the White House, Senate, and House, that unless we have 60 votes in the Senate, we cannot solve the problem legislatively. And there's a party who seems to be very willing to just sit back and let Democrats take the fall on everything, when they themselves present no issues, no solution to the issues that we have. I think I posted on Twitter yesterday that Republicans control all these state houses in Florida and Oklahoma, and instead of passing legislation that's going to actually help their citizens, they are focused on banning abortions or passing don't say gay bills all across the country. That's what they're doing with their political power.
What about and then also the voting issues, right?
Right. Yeah, not passing voting rights. It's really hard for us to talk about voting rights in California because, we all get our ballots in the mail. We get a month to drop them off. We can just drop them off at the drop box. You don't have to present, ID when you do it. I went and voted in person this last round, just to see.
I vote in person every time. I love it because it's fun.
I wanted the sticker as well.
Yeah, you're darn right. I know. I voted.
But that's how it should be all across the country.
Yeah,
where people are able to vote, and we want them to vote. We encourage them to do that. You don't have to take 7 hours like you do in Texas to vote. And for me, voting has been since childhood. My grandmother was originally from the South, and we would go with her to vote all the time, and she would have us feel the back of her head because she'd have lumps in her head from being clubbed for trying to vote.
Wow,
that is a reality of not like distant history. This is like 50, 60 years ago in this country. So,
holy crap. Wow.
Making sure voting is accessible to everyone. If we can bank online, I would like to see us move to an online system. And I'm not necessarily make it mandatory, but there should be like an opt-out if you don't want to get registered. Everybody, when they turn 18, boom, you're registered.
And
make it real easy.
But I think I would. It seems like you are attracting younger voters, right? Are you kind of? Is there a push for that to really?
Yeah, we've been, trying to be in campuses, and I actually am going to do a thing for Fresno High students about civil engagement and voting and the importance of that next week.
Oh, cool.
But we advertised in the Fresno State newspaper and have had events up and down. I was endorsed by the College of Sequoia Young Democrats, and we hosted a movie night with them and ate pizza and talked about running for office and all the important things that civil engagement brings. And so I think for young people in particular, they are the folks that are, they are the activists, and they're the ones that are, doing the majority of walking in our campaign. And, for them, we have seen where they are, the generation that has student loan debt, that they can't afford to buy a house. We need to have severe change in this country, and it is going to be led by young people.
Yeah. The future is the youth.
I would like to think of myself as young, but I was reminded every time I get off the couch going, ah.
You got to go see Miss Nina.
I am.
Right? Okay, good. There you go. People can learn more, of course, LaurinHubbard.com.
LaurinHubbard.com.
And
we actually added a section for all of our campaign footage and videos that are there.
So, okay.
Featuring my talk on Central Valley Talk last time.
Perfect.
So all our stuff is right online.
If you're watching us today, right now, or 2 weeks from now, thanks for going to LaurinHubbard.com, and we appreciate it. Can you come back like a week before the election?
Absolutely.
You mind? Okay.
Absolutely.
And then you have an amazing voice, so I would like you to just. I'm gonna toss it to you, and you can say whatever you want. A jingle. It's up to you. I'm putting you on the spot.
Be sure to fill out your ballots and vote by June 7th for Laurin Hubbard.
Have a great day, everybody. Newsmakers with Mike Briggs is next. Good to see you, pal.
You too.
All right.